What if assessing gut health was as simple as taking a pill? Well, we have an ingestible capsule that, when swallowed, senses gases and other information as it travels through the gut, providing valuable insight into the health or dysfunction of a patient's GI system and their microbiome function. The gases that we sense in the gut are recognised as clinically valuable biomarkers, but detecting and measuring them at the source hasn't been possible until now. And they're providing new insights into the way that we diagnose and manage gastrointestinal health and common functional gut disorders. And that's going to result in improvements to diagnosis, a more personalised therapeutic approach, and ultimately improved outcomes. GI disorders are among some of the most prevalent conditions. As many as 40% of the world's population suffer from a functional gut disorder. And as an example, irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS, is the largest chronic condition that is treated in the US, with an estimated 25 million sufferers. In our first indication of dysmotility, there are 240,000 gastric emptying procedures done each year in the US alone. And these functional gut disorder patients are high consumers of health resources. 2/3 of them have visited a doctor in the last 12 months, so a large portion of a gastroenterologist's practice is taken up by managing them. The diagnostic process is made more difficult by the reliance on symptoms and the lack of tools available to collect information from the GI tract because it's inaccessible deep inside the human body. So 1/3 of these patients remain undiagnosed or are misdiagnosed. So we're developing what is the world's first ingestible gas sensing capsule, and it provides unique insight into the function of the microbiome, which is the vast collection of bacteria that live in your gut and play critical roles in health. But because of how inaccessible the microbiome is, its function is less well understood than we would like, and our ingestible capsule is changing that. It's a platform technology with a range of applications. We're targeting 2 indications in the near term. The first of these is measuring the motility or speed of transit of food through the GI tract to diagnose dysmotility conditions like gastroparesis and slow transit constipation, both of which can be treated. Now, we've administered more than 1,300 of our capsules in a portfolio of 18 clinical trials, which have resulted in valuable data and peer-reviewed publications. We've also completed a successful pivotal trial, which we've now published, targeting a 510K clearance this year for an initial indication in dysmotility. And the exciting thing about this application is that Medtronic have discontinued their predicate device because components went end of life and IP ran out. It's a profitable test for the clinician, and it offers clinical utility that they otherwise cannot get. Now, in addition, we're also developing the capsule for the diagnosis of a condition called SIBO, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And this is a significant commercial opportunity because it affects at least 5% of people, but the current options for diagnosing SIBO are inaccurate or invasive. So how does it work? Well, you're all wondering. It is a single-use device, I can assure you. It's a consumable. You do not retrieve it. It gets passed in a bowel movement. After swallowing, it travels through the GI system, continuously monitoring gases and transmitting data to a small receiver carried by the patient. It's measuring gases directly at the source of production, which is otherwise not possible. And the gases are providing insight into the location of the capsule, as well as GI health and microbiome function. Now, the capsule is just one component of an integrated system which consists of a number of elements. We also have a receiver that can be worn or carried to collect data from the capsule, a standardised meal in the form of a muesli bar to ensure that the data we collect is standardised for motility, a tablet and software to allow the clinician to set up the patient and download the receiver after the test. And when the patient returns the receiver, it's downloaded and the data are sent to the cloud for analysis and aggregation. The clinician then logs into a portal where they can view the results, generate a report, and make a diagnosis. So why are these GI gases important? Well, the GI tract is a 30-foot long tube connecting different organs with different types and very different numbers of microbiota along its length. And these microbiota produce gases as they digest food. And the gases are clinically valuable biomarkers of microbiome function and individual physiology. And they can be used to assess an individual's GI health or dysfunction. And we can detect some of those gases throughout the GI tract. And we can also detect where the capsule is using data from the sensors on board the capsule and how fast or slow someone's motility and transit time is. Now, the gases are the products of metabolism by the microbiota that live in the GI tract, so depending on which gases are produced and where they are produced, this can provide a lot of insight into the function of an individual's microbiome and their GI system, or how healthy or dysfunctional it may be. And until now, this information hasn't been available because you simply can't get access to the GI tract beyond a certain distance from either end, much less interrogate the microbiome functional activity there. And with more than 1,300 ingestions to date, we're now reaching critical mass for our data set. And we're excited because we've begun to apply machine learning to the data, and we're already uncovering insights and developing future iterations of the capsule that will use metadata from an app and other sources to provide additional insights to lower costs and enable use cases such as consumer applications. We have a robust IP position with a portfolio that consists of the original patent, which has been granted in the US and other countries. We've also filed 6 new patents with more to come, and these include inventions like Bluetooth communication direct from the capsule to a phone, and targeted drug delivery using our capsule as a therapy delivery platform. And one of the applications for this platform that we're most excited about is titration of GLP-1s. As many as 10% of patients discontinue GLP-1 use, which represents more than $2 billion of lost opportunity for pharma companies. And the reason is that GLP-1s slow motility, inducing the very condition that we diagnose, gastroparesis or delayed gastric emptying. In our recent pivotal trial, we validated the Atmo capsule in measuring regional and whole gut transit times. So Atmo can play a key role to titrate these patients with respect to GLP-1s, to get them on the medication and keep them on it. We also have a role to play in managing risk of aspiration perioperatively and in managing titration of diabetics who are at a greater risk of gastroparesis. We have a stellar medical advisory board which consists of some of the biggest names in functional gastroenterology from world-renowned institutions, with people like Professor Eamon Quigley, who is a past president of the American College of Gastroenterology. Over 1,300 capsules have been administered across 18 clinical studies that have been conducted by us and independent research groups. On the left are the commercial indications that we at Atmo are focused on, and that we're initially developing the capsule for. On the right are some of the studies that are being conducted by third parties using our capsule. Now, the first thing to notice is that the reason these groups are using the Atmo capsule is that they see the information and insights it provides are useful and can't be easily obtained any other way. Secondly, some of these parties want this information so much that they've paid us and they're purchasing capsules, highlighting the value that people see in what we do. And finally, it's worth noting the diversity of different indications and applications that people are using the capsule for. And this shows that it is a platform which has broader utility than the initial indications that we're going after. So in summary, we're developing what is a unique tool for gut health and microbiome functional analysis. We're targeting large market opportunities with few competitive alternatives. We have a clinical portfolio which has yielded valuable data and publications after 1,300 capsule ingestions. We're targeting initial indications in motility, followed by SIBO with a 510K submission this year. We have opportunities in GLP-1 titration, and we have an excellent team of talented and experienced people to execute on our strategy. Thank you.